Welcome to your 6 to Fix in 6, this one relating to how to drive down deviations, reduce deviation numbers. Key challenge for everybody, and what I want to do is to share these 6 essential rules that in our opinion will help you achieve that. Number 1 goes without saying, when the incident happens, report it immediately. Often not practiced though. So often when the mistake happens on a busy production line, the operator or the supervisor, the person who's witnessed the event, will make a mental note to raise the deviation, report the deviation, the what, when, where, how, who, in 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes time. You've got to report it straight away, the essential facts, otherwise you will forget them, and then the investigation is chasing the wrong solution. Number 2, do the Gemba in 10 minutes, at least, no longer. The Gemba is when you go to the scene of the incident, you physically go to the scene of the incident, you discuss the incident with those that witnessed it. Never ever do a deviation remotely or from behind the desk. I've done that and the investigation was always wrong. You've got to go to the scene and you've got to go as quickly as possible. 2 reasons: the information is fresh, people's memories are fresh, and importantly, what it really communicates is that this investigation is really, really important. If you're using that 30-day rule, please don't. Because when you use that 30-day rule, what that communicates is that we're not bothered, this incident isn't particularly important. And frankly, if you leave the investigation any longer than this period of time, then the validity of that investigation is very, very quickly eroded. So do the Gemba and do it quickly. Go to the scene and start doing number 3, fact-focused investigation. With the emphasis on the facts. So often investigations focus on the who did this, why did you do it? In other words, it's all about the person rather than the systems and the procedures that in most cases, at least, have caused the incident in the first place. So this is where your problem-solving tools and techniques that many of you will be familiar with come into play. So this is where you drive down your uncertainty, you use the Klein process to discuss the incident with those around it at the time. This is when you use the Ishikawa and so on and so forth. So this is the fact-focused investigation. The emphasis is on the facts rather than the people. If you focus on the people, you increase blame and the facts get hidden. Number 4, think error chain. At NSF, we don't talk about root cause because it doesn't exist. No deviation is down to one single root cause. There's always multiple contributing factors, what we call the error chain. The person that made the mistake on the surface of the problem were doing the best with what they had available to them at that time. And often, usually, that error was preceded by multiple contributing factors. SOP complexity, poor work, poor shift patterns, fatigue, distraction, stress, and so on and so forth. So if you're doing an investigation, you really need to identify the underlying causes, and that means thinking error chain, multiple contributing factors, not just single root cause. Then you obviously do your risk assessment. Many of you will be familiar with whether it be failure mode effect analysis or alternatives. But you do that risk assessment to rank that incident. Is it critical, is it major, or is it minor? And this is where, after that investigation, you're then focusing on the corrective and preventive actions, except you're not. What we recommend is that you change from Kappa to Paka. So instead of emphasizing the corrective, immediate actions you take to manage the risk, you're actually focusing on what do we need to do to prevent this happening again. Remember, the whole purpose of a deviation in Kappa system, 2 objectives. One is to manage risk, number 1. Number 2 is to drive continuous improvement. And you only drive continuous improvement if you prevent it happening again. And then number 6, an investigation is only as good as the paperwork. So please make sure that your investigation report tells the story. And what we say on our training courses is when you're writing the incident report, make sure that it can be understood by somebody with no knowledge of that process in 2 years' time. So if it tells the story, it does the investigation justice, you can do a fantastic investigation, but if the paperwork doesn't support that, the regulators won't be happy. If you do these 6 things, return on investment is significant. We, following work with one of our clients, we took them through this process and they got a return on investment by reducing their deviation incidents by 72%. So if you want the same type of results, there are the rules. Be diligent, be disciplined, execute them, you will get the same results.